playing with the energy of God. Our theme for the month is what is it? Liberated living. Yes, liberated living. And it kind of dovetails right in with a message that came to me years and years ago when I started on my spiritual path. And I was in meditation, and I was contemplating things, and back then I was kind of struggling with certain aspects. And the whole idea in our spiritual community is we come together, the New Thought community, the Agape community, we're based on principles that you take and you place into action. You allow the omni-active presence of God to have its way with you. We're not just innocent we don't sit on the sidelines and just be the monk on the mountain and just kind of pray and hope everything will be good and not feel that impulse from within us. And so when we are cultivating the energies, we want to make sure that when we live to love, then you love to live, which is a very kind of cute idea, right? You live to love, but it's very profound and it's very deep, because when you live to love, which means you're going to embody the energy of God into and through and as you, because we're born in the image and likeness of God, and so we're going to allow that to express. And so a lot of us, we start to make little safe havens and little safe cocoons. So I'm going to put a charge out there today that you're going to be able to allow yourself to bust out of a false sense of security that comes through the material world. It's kind of like we all have our car alarms on our cars and we feel safe. Our car is safe because we have that alarm. That's not real safety. That's lowercase s safety. Real safety is when you know that the presence of God is upon you and you feel it, you guys probably know what I'm about to say, in your bones, because you want to feel the presence of God coursing through you. Some of the most powerful prayers, the prayer of St. Francis, use me as an instrument of your joy. Use me as an instrument. You want your prayer to live itself. You want the answer to your prayer. Prayer is alive. Prayer is not a request that goes to a man in the clouds who may or may not grant your wish. Prayer is a living phenomena from the human experience that brings divinity that we would call miraculousness into your experience. And so we want to allow the omni-active, the omnipotent, the omni-amorous light of God, which is who we are anyway. That's who we are, created in the image and likeness of God. So we are told in Scripture to pray aright, to pray ye believing. But what does that feel like? If you are praying believing, you will feel something within your beingness. It won't be like a rote prayer, oh please God, give me that new car that I just love, or whatever, and it kind of feels flat and empty. In prayer, an affirmative prayer, which our community is founded on, an affirmative prayer, and I know last week Reverend Victoria was here and you went over some of the steps of affirmative prayer. And I'm not going to go over them again, but I am going to just kind of amplify it a little bit. You want the prayer, the word. In the beginning was the word. The word is where you bring something from the invisible. So in your mind you have what's inaudible and invisible. Your thoughts, your ideas. When you are inspired, that thought comes from the impulse of God, from the invisible, through the law of emergence. And so when you say, yes, use me as an instrument of thy good, of thy peace, of thy joy, you are opening up to a grander and greater sense of love. Love is a small word that has a huge meaning. It means peace. It means grace. It means beauty. It means joy. These are the eternal qualities that never go anywhere. Peace, love, joy, beauty, divine intelligence that governs the universe. Those energies are omnipotent, they're always broadcasting. Fear, doubt, worry, anger, resentment. Those are transitory energies that they're illusionary. They are illusionary. They have no staying power except to the power that you give it. So when we go and we do kirtan and we're doing chanting, we are cultivating an energy. And the thing I love about kirtan, and I know that Patricia and Jessica were so excited that I was going to be here on a kirtan Sunday, is because one of the key ingredients is devotion. Devotion is a very powerful ingredient that you want to include in your spiritual practice, because devotion says that you are loyal and to love, you are loyal to God, you are loyal to the divine law of emergence that is what is seeking to rise up and express through you into this world. But how do you apply that? Well, first you have to choose to become consciously aware and awake. Everything in your life is predicated on a choice. Every single thing is predicated on a choice. Every choice that you've ever made has been stored in a database in your subconscious. And so right now, a lot of us are walking around and we are just re-choosing things from our subconscious and letting them play out over and over and over again. If any of you have ever been in a habitual situation or some scenario that's like, oh my God, here we go again. That's because there are choices you haven't unchoose that are in your subconscious. And all we need to do is use prayer effectively, because there are a lot of people that are praying wrong. Which means you're using the lower vibrational frequencies, such as the law of attraction, against yourself. You're using prayer against yourself. What is against yourself? Against yourself means that you're not allowing the divine nectar of benevolent satiation to bring bliss and joy and love into your beingness. A prayer that could be a wrong. One time in meditation years ago, I was learning about angels. And angels, which are the messengers of God, they are the qualities of God. They are the truth of God. They are an aspect of God. That's what an angel truly is. It's not, you could see, a lot of people think them as benevolent beings. So whether we use deities or whether we use angels, we're not praying to an angel or a deity outside of ourselves to get something to happen. We're not praying, Archangel Michael, please save me from this thing. I'm terrified, and if you could just make it go away, I'll feel so much better. What we're praying for, that would be kind of praying a wrong. Praying a right would be moving into the vibration of embodiment, where if I were to pray to Archangel Michael, who represents pure divine strength coursing through your beingness, you want to be Archangel Michael. You want to be Ganesha, the remover of obstacles. You want to embody that in your bones, in your blood, in your life. How do you do that? You evoke it in prayer. One of the messages that came to me was, you don't pray to, because praying to an angel or a deity that is outside you is like praying to a man in the clouds. And we know that in our teaching, the omnipotent, omnipresent light of God, and as all the sacred texts and scriptures say, as we are born in the image and likeness of God, that means that right at your core, you have the entirety of the kingdom of heaven. So a false sense of safety, we want to break out of that. So we have our alarms on our cars, maybe our alarms on our houses, but you want to be in the capital S of safety, where you know that the presence through you is fulfilling itself. You know that the desires and the yearnings that were put there by the presence, by you, there's this beautiful combination I won't get into right now because we don't have enough time, but there's yearnings that through choices of your soul's evolutionary journey, there's certain things you want to express into this world. And we want to allow the law of emergence to have its way to us and through us to express what God, and sometimes, and so I think it was the last time I was here, we were talking about the vibrational frequency of yes and the vibrational frequency of no, and how one felt like very, kind of stops energy, and one is like very, and it liberates energy. So the no energy comes into effect sometimes when somebody is out there saying things that are creating the ideas of separation or the illusions of fear, and sometimes we have to say no. Get ye behind me, Satan. I will not have anything to do with this. That's how we use no correctly. energy. We stop an energy flow, and we all know energy in motion stays in motion until an energy of equal or greater power comes along. So your yes better be greater than that no. No, get ye behind me, Satan, to fearmongers. And my yes has to be to love them. I have to love them. I know recently in Laguna there was a demonstration, and there was people that showed up that were white supremacists, and there was people who showed up that were, I don't know if you call them anti-white supremacists or what we would call them. But if we are praying aright, if we are being aright, if we are intending aright, and if we are cultivating aright, we know that the only reason somebody would be a supremacist of any kind is because they are deathly afraid that something horrible is going to happen to them. You cannot get angry unless you are afraid. So we need to go beyond. We don't condone their actions. That's where my no comes in. No, get you behind me to your actions. But yes, I will see beyond that to your soul. And that's where we want to come out of our safety net of just kind of being included in just my world. I'll just take care of me. Because we know there's no such thing as just me. There's only we. There's all of us. We're all connected. And, one of these days we'll do a class where we also include the past life regressive type energies. But in that, if you've ever had that experience, which is pretty wild, it's kind of like, it's so amazing because you get to, it's like watching, for me it was like just a big movie screen of all of these, and I saw these different lives, and you see it and you know it, and there's this knowingness that comes over you. And I've been a woman, and I've been different races, and everything. It's like, oh my God, like we are all so one. We are all so connected. So even though, in the realm of the human experience, we like to say, oh, I'm a woman, or I'm old, or I'm young, or I'm a man, or I'm this race, or this religion, or that religion, or I'm, whatever genders there are now. You're so much more than that. You're more. We want to connect with our eternal self. And Ernest Holmes, which is, for those of you who don't know, Ernest Holmes is kind of one of the four parents, I'll call him, forefathers of the New Thought movement with regards to the Agape movement. And, Ernest Holmes said, self-awareness without self-expression. We want to be self-aware, so you're aware of your environment. But then you want to be able to express what's coming through you as a divine impulse. So I want to conclude today with allowing ourselves to have a marriage ceremony. And this marriage ceremony is we're going to marry ourselves to our divine self. Because we want to be married. You want to be living from your soul. It's kind of like a hybrid car, when it goes from gas, which is polluting and combustible, and it's putting those transitory, illusionary energies out that are creating nastiness in the world, and then it goes over to the battery. And that battery is based on renewable energy. So we want to get over to that part, get over to our divine battery that is always sourced. And so if you wouldn't mind, I'm just going to have you rise. And we're just going to marry ourselves, so I'm just going to have you put both of your hands on your heart. And it can be either way. And I'm just going to ask you, the response would be, if you want to do it in a more traditional sense, would be, I do. I do. Do you take thee, yourself, to be your lovely, lawfully wedded bridegroom to the light of God? I do. Do you take thee to be your lawfully wedded bridegroom to grace? I do. Do you take thee to be your lawfully wedded bridegroom to the laws of truth and love? I do. And do you take thee to be your lawfully wedded bride and groom, and to live to love and allow yourself to love to live?
I do.
I now pronounce you whole and complete. You may be seated. And as we prepare to turn within, I just want to,
where's the reception?
The reception is going to be outside. And actually, it could also be at Newport Harbor on the yacht if you're getting married, which was super cool. When you live to love, and this is where I'm just going to highlight this really quickly, take my human highlighter. But when you really live to love, what does that mean? That means you're willing to dive in and use spiritual practice to have self-expression of your divine self and really let it have its way. And there's nothing better than surrendering to your divine self, because the byproduct is bliss. It is bliss, it is goodness, it is wellness, it is prosperity, it is joy, it is that vibrational frequency of yes, yearnings, eternally, or I can't remember what it was. Well, that was my talk from last month. Yearning, something satiated. I'm going to say benevolently satiated, but that's an E word. So we want to be open to that, and we're just going to conclude by taking a moment and turning within. Oh, how good it is to open our hearts, our bodies, our minds, our souls, even more to the holy light of God. That we say yes today. We say yes to ever-expanding good having its way as we recognize there's a bliss, grace, intelligence that loves life beyond our wildest dreams, that is encoded and loaded within our beingness, and that we have said yes to knowing ourselves and loving ourselves as God knows and loves us. We have said yes to standing in a divine strength that expresses effortlessly into the world and is met with a benevolent satiation and a divine cooperation, that we allow it to splish and splash and flow and blow onto all of our friends and families. For as we rise, all unto us rise, and we have chosen to rise. We have chosen to rise this day, right here in this space, and something has shifted in us, and we are allowing ourselves to expand beyond any false illusionary sense of safety and to embody a divine strength as powerful as the Holy Spirit of Archangel Michael. We allow that right here, right now. We allow the Ganesha within us to remove our obstacles. We are the remover of our obstacles, and we let it be. Beautifully, joyfully, with fun, with laughter, with spaciousness and devotion. We gratefully release this prayer. We release into it, and we thankfully let it be by saying, and so it is. And so I let it be.
So I let it be.
Amen.
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 Amin.
Amen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Aho.
Aho.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Hotep. And hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Awesome. Thank you. We're getting ready for our conscious tithing, and so as the ushers come forward, I believe we're here on conscious tithing.